Okay. Hi, I'm Larry Martin, and this is my wife, Penny.
Hi, this is our daughter, Jamie, the oldest daughter.
My husband Alan is running the camera, and this is Mama Martin.
And this is my little sister,
Mary Snyder.
and this is my big husband, Daryl Snyder.
And Mama is also my mother.
Norma Jean.
That didn't come out, Norma Jean Martin.
I think it was when my grandmother, Grandma Bloy, taught me in the little classroom, little rinky-dinky classroom. And we had the little wooden chairs that we sold not too long ago. And then I had a lot of memories with my Uncle Vaughn coming, picking us up, but anyway, he would come by and pick us up and take us to church, and he loved to talk, and he would stay after, and we would have lots of fun after playing, and they just have a lot of yak, I guess you'd call it.
But my first memories of coming to church here was, it reminds me of polishing little white shoes and washing shoestrings on Saturday night. We always tried to look nice when we came to church, and it was an important time. And it was a special time, and I think that I feel real fortunate to have been a part of this special place all my life. And I started teaching. I worked with children all my life, I guess. I started teaching by helping Grandma in her little class that Mary Lee was talking about, and Grandma Lloyd. And then I think they were called the Buds of Promise. Do you remember?
Now, let me say something about that, because she just mentioned the Buds of Promise, the young class, and I'd like to say that my wife Penny teaches that class now, and we'll talk more about that probably a little bit later. So the name has been here a long time.
Yeah. I wasn't very big. I don't know how much help I was, but I thought it was a good job. I liked it.
Penny, how about earliest memories for you?
Well, I started coming out here as a child. As a visitor, I would come with my aunt and uncle, Fred and Pauline Rosenberry. Seemed like Central City was always having contests, and they always had to fill pews. And every time a pew needed to be filled, or they were having a contest, we'd get a call from Aunt Pauline and Uncle Fred. And my sister and I would come out and be a visitor for that time. Then after I graduated from high school, I moved back here after being gone for 4 years, and then I started coming again with my aunt and uncle and my cousins.
I wanted her to say she remembered me. Coming out here.
Later.
I don't really remember the first time I sang, but I've been singing here since I was a child. I do remember when I first began leading the songs, and I was somewhere 12, 14 years old, something like that. Penny, anything else?
Well, I can remember after Larry and I started dating, and then we eventually were married in this church, and at that time, I had it in my mind we were the second couple to be married in this church that were actual members.
In this building.
Yes, other people had been married, but actually the only members, we were the second couple, and we've been here except for 4 years when we went to Georgia for Larry to complete his education. We've been here all of our lives.
Here, I was baptized when Mr. Wheeler was the minister.
Where at, Larry? Where did you?
Well, the baptism actually occurred at Linville. We didn't have a baptistry here. We would use the creek across the road, Shoal Creek down the Low Water Bridge. Sometimes we went to Iron Gates to use their baptistry, and in this particular incident, I was baptized over at Linville Christian Church.
Mr. Austin baptized me.
And where?
I was at Carl Simpson.
Carl Johnson? At the Christian church over there?
The old,
Yeah,
the
right.
old church.
Yeah.
And I was in the river.
Which,
And it
Shoal
was
Creek?
very, very cold. It was down by the mill, and I remember a lot of rocks there, and we all scooted and skated down there, and we rode back to a house, and they wrapped blankets around us so we wouldn't freeze because we had to ride on the running boards of the cars.
I've attended Central City here since I was born. I don't know when I started singing here, but I do have a picture here I'll send around. You can look at it. I'll describe it to you. What you're looking at, and so I'm going to describe several things here. What you're looking at here is a photograph taken inside. Don't strain. I'm going to hand it. You can all look at it. I don't want you to go blind. Anyway, like that. I look to be about 8 years old here, and I'm singing a song. I'm singing a special music. And what you'll see behind this little guy here, that's me, is a darkened, it was a sliding door, so it went sideways. The church was very small. It had a stage for the platform for the preacher, and behind that there was a classroom that I'm standing in front of, and it had doors that slid in like this. There was a classroom on the one side and another classroom on the other side of that. In the auditorium itself, two Sunday school classes were held, one at the front on one side, one in the back on the other side. I have no idea how many times I've sung at the church here. Well, I can tell you this, I know it's probably about 300 at least, because I've got a stapled list of everything. But I want to tell you, Thelma Smith could play the piano. She could, well, there's a lot of piano players. This woman could make a piano sing. I mean, and she used the whole keyboard. And I don't know if she looked at her music at all, but she was a terrific pianist. And so I grew up with her pushing me and my mom and so forth, encouraging me to sing. I do remember this about Thelma. As she got older, she started getting arthritis in her hands. And before playing on Sunday morning, she would soak her hands or put her hands in hot wax to warm her fingers up and make them a little more mobile so she could play the piano. That's service, folks. I mean, to me, she's a saint. I know that I taught junior high, I know I taught high school, I know I taught college-age class, and a lot of people from Ozark were in that class. And then that was young marriage, and real young and dating people. And then I took my dad's class, and I guess I've taught every class from, well, I don't know, 5th grade to, I teach senior class now. That means old. Started teaching the high school class when I was a junior in high school. The system was, each of the people in the high school class, we didn't have a teacher and didn't know where to get one. And so we were considered able, the class, to take turns, rotate, and teach that class, take turns teaching. We went around one time and everybody quit, except me. So I started teaching the high school class, and I've been teaching since that time. So I had a mustache, and I was shaving it, or I was not shaving it, I was trimming it. She didn't like the mustache, I didn't know that, but she was hoping that I wouldn't have it when I came. She knew I had it when I asked her out, but she still decided to come. And when I was trimming it, I nicked it a little bit, so it wasn't shaped just right. I just went ahead and shaved it all. So this has got to work here, folks. So I show up and my mustache is gone. She was so glad. And I knew my sacrifice, you understand. But that night, I knew she was a keeper, even that first day, because we went to stock car races here in town. There was a stadium on the east side of Range Line. There's one up here on about 13th Street that is dormant. But at that time, we went to the stock car races, and she didn't complain at all when the mud from the track would splatter up on her clothes. So
I
knew
have never seen Miss Penny muddy.
Well,
Is that really true?
yeah.
I've never seen her with any kind of mud on.
Well, she washed it off. I was still connected to students as vice president. So I thought, you know, in 40 years later from now, will I look back and be sorry I didn't stay to be vice president? When I went in to say I was going to retire, the president said, you don't have to do that. I'm not going to be here very long. I'm not very much longer. Well, I said, well, that's another reason to retire. But would I remember the time in administration, or would I remember the time that I spent with my grandson, Caleb Smith, who works back here in the back. He's a big, tall guy. And it was a no-brainer. You know, I'd rather spend the time with him. I'd rather remember that than being at college. So I retired. When I was started dating Penny, I told you I was working at Ozark Engineering. I was saving money at that time for to buy a car, a special car, and I used that money to buy her engagement ring. Now, many years later, I bought this. So now I have Penny and my Corvette. Penny and I have both taught here for a number of years. I think she told me I taught Sunday school here for 61 years. Is that right? She's taught young children up through, you know, the nursery, the toddlers, and the kindergartners age. She taught for about 35 years. So, you know, like I said, I got to keep her there. And we've enjoyed our time here. But my grandfather lived down the road here, and he was a driller. And I worked for him in the summer for a couple of years as a driller's helper. And my mom called, hot work. It was hot work and steel all around you and mud. It's hard. But anyway, my mom called her father, my grandfather, and asked him how I was doing. And he said, he's a good worker. You can give him a job and go away and come back, and he's still working. That's what I want to hear from God. So as long as I can, I will.
I was thinking in our lifetime, the only two father, son, deacon, and elders was Larry and his dad, and then Ty and Bill.
McCarty.
That's the only two I can ever remember. Having integrity, his dad was the same way. Both of them, I think of them both having integrity.
And he was a long-time treasurer and missions
Yeah.
treasurer, right?
Yeah, he did missions.
So he was trusted.
Yeah. Yeah, it was supposed to be we were taking turns. We were going to take turns. And I don't know if we got by one.
Before you ended up
But
with it.
if so, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 1, 1, 1. But I don't really know how many times they
You made
had their
the
turn,
round.
but probably not. Maybe Raymond might have been a half.
And it just stuck, and we found out you were a good teacher, and you just
Well,
kept
they
on
didn't
going.
want to do it anymore. I'm sure I was great.
Well, you were
You
good.
were, yeah. I don't know exactly how old you are, and I don't have
What
to
are we
ask
asking,
that.
how long did I teach?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was between 63 and 65 years.
That's pretty amazing, Larry.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody else with that kind of longevity, but
Well,
I
they
admire
died.
Will
They
ever
all
have.
it. Okay, so did you ever consider stopping?
No, never
No,
did.
it was just my life. I mean,
That was what you had
That's
done.
what he did, yeah.
I enjoyed teaching.